Hello, everyone. Yes, you are welcome to this live session. So, guys, I decided to give you this latest update. So, like you can see on my screen there, Atiku scam urges Tinubu to resign over his Chicago academic record. That is the latest, on this topic. Atiku and his camp, they are now pressing on the president of Nigeria to leave office after he asked the judge in the US not to allow the Chicago State University to release his documents. So many people are now saying that it means he has got a lot to hide. He should be proud enough to share with people his academic record, because he has once told Nigerians that he graduated with a first class from the Chicago State University. So now Atiku wants to get this document at all costs. And you know what? He's following it legally, as in he's going through the courts. You can't just go to somebody's country and start demanding for this without following the legal process. And that is what Atiku has been doing. We all knew that the court gave this order that the university should release this document to Atiku. All of a sudden, the legal team to the sitting president made a very smart move. They had to go to a higher court to stop the mandate that has been given by the lower court. So the court has now upheld that the Chicago State University shouldn't release this record that Atiku has been fighting to get, So now the question remains, what is the president of Nigeria hiding? Why is he not proud enough to just allow his certificates or his records to be released to Atiku so that Atiku can make his case at the Supreme Court? Because Atiku told the United States judge that he needs this to pursue his appeal at the Supreme Court. And this is one of the reasons why the judge, listened to Atiku, because he needed it for a very good and cogent reason. So the judge was like, why not? We should be able to provide it for to you if that is the reason for which you need this record. So the judge ended up mandating Chicago State University to release that record. Of course, just like in Nigeria, where this court will give an order, and then you hear another court in Bayelsa has countered that one. Then tomorrow you hear that maybe the one in Kaduna has said something else. So the president of Nigeria, through his lawyer, they now went to a higher court so that they will stop the mandate that was issued by the district court, which is said to be a lower court. So what does all this mean for Nigeria? Looking at the headline there, you can see that Atiku's camp is saying that Tinubu should resign. So this is the topic we'll be looking at, coming days. We'll be looking at this resignation because they just issued this today, being the 24th of September, 2023. So you can see the date there. So this is the latest news. And we are going to see how all this play out, because Atiku is not, as in he's not letting this opportunity elude him. He really wants to make use of this opportunity. So the camp of the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, yesterday urged President Bola Tinubu to resign from office over the non-release of his academic record by the Chicago State University. A U.S. district judge, Nancy Maldonado, had on Thursday agreed to stay on order directing Chicago State University to make Tinubu's academic documents available to Atiku's legal team. So this is what this content on this website is saying, that Atiku Abubakar is now saying, just resign. I believe Atiku is very, very, careful in the way he's pursuing this case. And for him to bring up resignation as a topic is very, very important, because this is going to send a very strong signal to the lawyer in the US. Don't forget, on Monday, being tomorrow, will be the final ruling. The judge is going to rule on whether the Chicago State University will go ahead to release Tinubu's academic record or not. This is what is going to be handed over to Atiku tomorrow. So it's either going to be a win-win for Atiku, or he might not really get this opportunity should the Tinubu's legal team, press on the judge. But we are just wondering, does it mean that the judges in the US can afford not to release this document to Atiku? I don't know. For me, I see US as a country that say they try to like tell the world that they support democracy. So if they actually support democracy, they lead the campaign when it comes to, promoting democracy. How come they will not allow this document to be released? How come would this judge not allow Tinubu's academic record or his certificate to be released? Let it come directly from the university he attended, because the university has told us that yes, he attended this school. Okay, he attended your school. Give Atiku Abubakar the records he's asking for. The court has given that mandate, but the university remains reluctant in releasing it. That was how they got the chance, the opportunity to quickly go to another court to file this appeal that the judge now upheld. But the judge himself was very careful. It got to a point that he had to like gather all the parties, through media link. He was like, come and let's speak. So they ended up agreeing that Monday will be the day of the ruling. He's going to rule as to whether the Chicago State University is going to be releasing this document or not. And for we, the Nigerian people, we are asking the president to just allow his documents, his information to be out there so that people will get to know him. And then this matter will just be buried. This matter will just be over. Because even if he is allowed by the Supreme Court to retain his position as the president of Nigeria, don't forget, he will still want to vie again for this same position come 2027. What will he be telling Nigerians then? Possibly he will not even submit his university credentials again, because the one he submitted now, he did not add his primary and secondary school credentials. These are credentials he used to attach. That was, I think, when he vied for the position of the governor of Lagos State, he made available all his documents. But when he was going for the second term, he had to like remove that of primary school, that of secondary school, because people were already questioning where he attended his primary and secondary school education. There were so many, controversies. So when he saw that that could raise a dust that would really work against him, he quickly withdrew those ones and continued with that of the university. And you can see that of the university now is equally having another big problem. So does it mean if at all he's given the opportunity to run in 2027, he might end up telling us that he did not attend any school, or just on the basis of his wealth of experiences as the former governor of Lagos State, and then as an ex-senator and all that, he might just want to gather all those things to like see, because the Constitution allows that, as in if you have a very strong experience or experiences in different fields that can replace your academic records, why not? You can't be given the opportunity to run for the position of a president. Well, we all know that he himself is worried about his reputation. He has told the judge, don't release my document because it's going to hurt me. It's going to, damage my reputation. And that is what the judge, I believe the judge is a bit careful, having known that he is the sitting president of Nigeria. They might not really want to be in a hurry to start releasing his information like that. But I don't know if the US can afford to do this to Nigeria. I mean, the Nigerian people want to have access to this information, want to see this record, want to know, because he swore under oath when he submitted this document to INEC that this is the certificate I got from the Chicago State University. So this same certificate, when the Chicago State representatives were in court, they refused to swear under oath. They refused to testify under oath. They were very careful, because that could lead to, killing their career. That might even lead to them going to jail because US, they uphold their law. It's not like Nigeria where our constitution, we don't even look at it very well, not to talk of managing it as it's supposed. So they were very careful when they were asked to like testify on that oath. They say no, they won't. But this same certificate that is being disputed now was submitted to INEC under oath. So in Nigeria, it's just easy to like do your things anyhow, anyhow. The same certificate, the people that issued it refused to testify on that oath. And now Nigerians are saying, allow them to release it to us. Let it come directly from the university into the hand of Atiku. I believe from Atiku, the Nigerian people will then get to know what the content is. But he doesn't want. So the PDP is now asking him to resign. Resign because the constitution says anybody that submitted a forged certificate must not be allowed to remain in that position. You must leave that office. We saw it played out in Bayelsa State. That one was even the latest for the position of a governor. A governor was sent out of office because his deputy, not even himself, his deputy had issues with his certificate. So that brings us to the question about technicalities, because we all know that they said the last ruling that was given by tribunal were mostly based on technicalities. So what kind of technicality is Supreme Court going to use this time when it comes to this forgery? Let's just assume that what the president is trying to avoid is because the content of what Chicago is going to release, the Chicago State University is going to release, might contradict what he submitted to INEC. Let's just assume that is where the problem is, what he's trying to avoid. So you can imagine Chicago State University releasing his document, and then we end up seeing that it's a female. We end up seeing that the year that he graduated is different from when it was issued, or we end up seeing that the signatures there are different from the signature that are on the one that he submitted to INEC. So there are so many things that they are afraid for the Nigerian people not to see, for the public not to see. But assuming that is really the fact, that there are so many contradictions, and the Supreme Court upholds his position as the president of Nigeria, you can imagine how that will be. Nigeria will become something else, because we've seen it happen in Bayelsa State, where a sitting governor was let go his position as the governor of the state because his deputy had a forgery issue. So instead of his deputy alone being relieved of his office, it affected the governor himself. So you can imagine if Tinubu is allowed to uphold this position as the president of Nigeria with this allegation of forgery. No doubt, I believe the PDP is even saying that no matter how long it takes, that these documents must be released. Even if this judge should rule that the Chicago State University shouldn't, they are still going to keep appealing until a judge who has the interest of Nigeria at heart will look at it and say, wow, this is a normal thing. If they want it, give it to them. We just believe that it will get to that point. Assuming this judge ruled that the Chicago State University shouldn't release that document, because I don't even know why he had to postpone this ruling to Monday. That's tomorrow. For me, I don't think there is anything to be appealed on this case. They just said it's going to cause him an irreparable damage. And we keep asking, what kind of irreparable damage is it going to cause you, Mr. President? Just allow your information to be out there and let people see who you are. Let people get to know how you entered the university, the kind of certificates you came out with, your grade and all that, the name, the sex, the gender, and all that. Let people get to know what is contained on your certificate. That's just what Atiku wants. It's not as if anybody has any ulterior motive when it comes to that. So we played this video last night, but we were not able to go through it. I just want us to get some opinions coming from some Nigerians who are also worried about what is happening currently. Because when you go to places like Twitter, you even see Cameroonians and people from other countries, making caricature of Nigeria, that how we have a president who has a forged certificate and all that. But for us, until Chicago State University releases his certificate, then we will know if he forged his certificate or not. We can't just come out boldly now and start saying he forged his certificate. No, that is why Atiku is following it legally. Just give us what you have. Let's compare it with what was submitted to INEC, because in our country, our constitution said you shouldn't submit a forged certificate. So let's verify. If they differ, then it means that the president submitted a forged certificate. Don't forget, one of the signatories on that certificate is somebody that wasn't a staff of the Chicago State University as at the time that Tinubu graduated, but her signature was on that certificate that was submitted to INEC. And this is one of the reasons Atiku is digging deep. He really wants to know. We Nigerians, we also want to know, because like Mr. Peter Obi will say, if you want to become an excellency, let the process through which you get to that point of being called an excellency, let it be equally excellent. That is what we are fighting for and nothing else. So let me just play this clip.
A U.S. district judge has agreed to stay an order directing Chicago State University to make available President Tinubu's academic records to the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar. It follows a plea by Mr. Tinubu's lawyers that it will cause severe and irreparable harm to him. A magistrate had on Tuesday ordered the university to release President Tinubu's academic records to Atiku within 48 hours to enable him prove that Mr. Tinubu should not have been allowed to take part in the 2023 presidential election because he allegedly forged his Chicago State University certificate. But in a fresh emergency application, President Tinubu's lawyers asked the district courts to delay the release of the documents till Monday and had suggested that their release would cause the president severe and irreparable harm. So what on earth are they talking about? Why is the president so keen not to have his academic records made public? What would you make of this issue around the release of President Tinubu's academic records?
Well, I think it's a number of issues. One, I think, is also a battle between legality, personal privileges, public interest, and political survival. Now, I don't think our laws, imagined a situation that we have now, because we've had cases in Bayelsa and other places where this sort of allegation led to people, losing their seats. So it opens us also to the lacunas under our laws. Now, you will agree that, ordinarily speaking, the president should be willing for his academic records to be out there, even though he doesn't need a university qualification to contest for the presidency, just a school certificate. But there are a number of issues. In America, for instance, if this were happening there, it's a matter of national security. Because right now, whether the president releases the results or otherwise, it is still a matter of issue. Because if maybe something is wrong with the result, that could be used as an exploitation point for both the presidency and the country.
And it could have implications for Nigeria.
Especially at the time we are crying about new colonialism, and this happens, then a lot will go in. Then also, if the president decides to release it, but right now that he's making a plea that is going to come and cause an irreparable harm to him, that is also a pointer that I think our last guest mentioned, that we can only wait till Monday to ascertain the level of irreparable harm, which is the point I made about political survival. Because right now, the person that is challenging him is on the point of qualification and not the vote that he has garnered. Because if something is wrong, his 8-point-something million votes will simply go down, the drain. So I think he's fighting for political survival, but it speaks to the kind of challenge we have with our leadership recruitment process. You could imagine that a party interrogated this certificate, certified the president to be fit to run. The same certificate we are talking about now has been presented to INEC under oath, right? And right now, the university is saying we can't accept this result, or rather present it under oath. So something.
Yes, so guys, this was exactly what I said. The president presented this certificate under oath, and the university that issued it said they can't testify under oath as regards to that same certificate that was issued to INEC. We have a very flawed system in Nigeria, honestly. Even the recruitment process, he made mention of it. Sometimes even people like the DSS, they will go through all this information, the party, they want to check all these things, but it does not happen again in Nigeria. They just want to know who can win this election for us, who has more followers. You know, most of them, why they were like, let Tinubu go, is because they felt, oh, Tinubu owns the whole of the Southwest. Then if he's able to pull all his votes from there and pull the ones he has in the North, he'll be able to win the election. So for them, places like the Southeast, the Southwest did not really matter for them. They just needed somebody, even if you have dirty hands. That is the level to which politics in Nigeria has gotten to, because people don't really think about the image of Nigeria. They don't think about how the international community, since after this election, go to Twitter. Every day is a new tweet, it's a new topic about a sitting president. How are we going to manage all this for 4 years? And the same person will still want to come again to run for another 4 years to complete his 8 years. That is just what the APC, they are not even bothered about this thing. And you can see the extent to which it has gone. For it to get to the United States, because all these things I heard, if you go to Twitter now, you see that Tinubu rejected invitation that was given to him by CNN to come talk on this issue about the Chicago State University. He was offered an invitation to come and clear the air. He rejected it. So now he's there all over the places on Twitter. The American people, they'll be looking at us, you know, that Nigeria, what kind of president do you people have? And this man that just spoke, he talked about national security. The United States, once they have an information about you that is on the negative side, they will want to exploit you. They want you just be like, you know, a mumu person to them, because they will be manipulating the person, telling the person what to do. If you reject, they might threaten, oh, we are going to release your records, and then you have to calm down to dance to their tune. So these are disturbing facts that we all must consider when we are saying that we support Atiku's move. It's not just about Peter Obi himself. It's not all about, you know, Tinubu just being removed from office. No, let people that will occupy this seat, because these things are mounting a lot of pressure on him at the moment, and that can lead to all sorts of distractions. Look at what is happening in Nigeria, and Naira is falling by the day. As in every day you see Naira depreciating instead of trying to gather up itself and to start appreciating. The thing will just keep falling, because as it stands now, they've not even gathered themselves together to start thinking on how to bring Nigeria out of the mess that the same APC has landed us in. So guys, this topic is a very serious one. And for me, I support Atiku's move, asking the president to just quietly resign. Because if he resigns today, whether Chicago State University has a certificate or not, it will not make sense again to anybody. Why people are pressing on him to release those information is because he is the sitting president. If he leaves that office now, nobody will care to know. Nobody wants to know if somebody forged certificate, if it's an ordinary man on the street. It's because of that position. So if you want to be an excellency, follow the excellency pathway. Peter Obi was in UNN, there was this program they had, I think last week, and he was saying that he's not willing to showcase just his certificate alone, that he knows his classmates. He was saying that the VC there in Suka UNN currently is one of his classmates. So he has that boldness to showcase his certificates and also talk about his classmates. We want to see that play out in the life of our president, the sitting president of Nigeria. And that is why the Supreme Court must be ready to give Nigerians justice this time. They can't afford to do what the tribunal did, honestly. So let me continue.
Is wrong, but we can only wait for the judicial.
It certainly raises questions, Prof. But on the other hand, because it is our job to remain balanced
as much as possible.
On the other hand, I mean, when the president, we're not just talking about a certificate. We're talking about academic records.
Yeah.
So you could see, could you, the reason that perhaps the president would not want his academic records to be released to the public?
Yeah, Charles, academic record, asking for academic record.
I mean, you're an academic.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm trying to.
Right.
Yeah, it's quite an unusual request, really. Beyond you just asking me for my certificate, if you ask for my certificate, for instance, from maybe you from University of Leeds, I can easily give it to you. But when you now say no, you are not satisfied with that, you want some of that details.
Leeds,
you know, yeah, I did.
That's a good university.
Thank you very much. You know, that you want the details. You know what I scored, what I did not score, maybe how I failed one course, and maybe passed it later. You know, and some of the details, maybe the comments of professors or lecturers on some of my essays. Those details, you know, sometimes professors may be very nasty on you.
People may not want that to be made.
You know, those are the discussions. So you become, you raise my adrenaline. You know, I want to rather be on the defensive. I become very curious. My anxiety will rise. You know, but I become very concerned, especially in the political space that we are in, and concerning regarding again the personality in question, the president of a country, somebody who has lived a political life, open political life for many years. So if he's trying to challenge that, it looks okay. But again, you now want to also argue that, well, if my records are clean, it doesn't matter what will have transpired at some point in time. It's still part of the training process. If I failed at some other point and some other point I passed, and overall, eventually I succeeded. You know, what's the big deal?
Because I mean, he did get a bachelor's according to the university.
So I mean, I think that okay, there's no big deal, just release it. But again, I agree with what Falana SAN said, that the president is probably in the best position to tell us why he doesn't want it to be released. Otherwise, yes, we have agreed that it can be an anxious moment, you know, because I've told you I have a certificate from Chicago State University. The university has also attested to that. You know, why again are you looking for some other details? It's like I'm bringing you to my house. I've told you where my address is. You come into my living room, but you now insist you want to be sure that I actually live there, and you want to go into my bedroom. You know, just to be sure. You know, sometimes you know you can arouse some level of extraordinary curiosity. But the other danger is that the more you try to hide something, or the more you
fuel speculation.
Yes, that's one. And secondly, the more you begin to raise people's concern regarding that thing that you do not want to reveal. People begin to they start becoming more curious. You know, then what is it that we do not know? Yes, there have been questions in the past about some details, some identity around the president. But again, obviously, he probably has not. There hasn't been an open infraction of the law. That's why he got to where he is. So maybe we should be looking at the law really, or the process as the case could be. You know, perhaps if there are ways in which we can increase or tighten our belts through the instrumentality of the law. You know, those are the questions that we might want to ask going forward. But for now, it seems to have been okay. The process, its efforts were salutary through the political parties, through INEC, according to their own pronouncement, and just because they permitted him to get to this stage. And so we may not really want to blame him, you know, for whatever he wants to do now in terms of preventing the release through the court again, you know, because, but obviously, like the previous speakers have said, we are in the hands of the laws, in the hands of the court. So well,
I mean, Chibuzo, let me come to you, because there is.
Yeah, so guys, I've got a question to ask. According to what this analyst just said, he said that Atiku went extra miles to start asking for academic record, not just his certificate. If it were to be just his certificate, that would have been an easy thing for them to do, you know. But for him to start asking for his academic records, that is like a joke taken too far, because that is going to contain details about his stay as a student at this university. What do you think? Do you think that Atiku went that far if he should ask for the record instead of just the certificate? Because all this while we've been talking about the certificate, we had two certificates, different certificates that have been, on the social media, and we saw them having different signatures. We saw that the fonts are different, the logos, the two logos on the two different, the two certificates were different. We saw so many things that differentiated the two certificates, and all of them, the two were meant to had come from one person. So that was actually what brought up this topic. But now Atiku, instead of asking for just the certificate or a confirmation of the initial certificate that was issued to him, he wants them to give him Tinubu's academic record. That is going to give details of so many things about him during his time of stay in this university as a student. What do you think? Do you think that Atiku is taking this too far, or do you think? Just comment in the comment section? Let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are as regards to this particular thing I've just said now. Atiku is not just asking for the certificate. We've all seen the certificate, and universities will not issue you double certificate. They might just end up giving a certified true copy of what was issued to Atiku before now. But what was issued to Tinubu before now. So Atiku is saying, I don't want just the certificate. Give me the records, his academic records. That's what Atiku is asking for now. Possibly that's why the judge is not that sure if he should, except solid grounds, solid reasons are given to him. That is the only thing that will make him to mandate the Chicago State University to release this record, because I know that record will contain detailed information about Tinubu himself.
I think you touched on this earlier, and I think that Femi Falana also kind of briefly touched on it, which is beyond the legalese and what is my right and what isn't my right. There are people who are calling on Nigerians to demand from the president that he releases authentic academic records because, as you said, it's a very important point which could have all kinds of implications for the security of this country, for the image of this country, and so on and so forth, and for Nigerians to feel, particularly in a disputed election, that the person who eventually acceded to the throne deserves to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. As much as that is expected and could help assuage a number of issues, we have just come out from a very divided elections, a very polarized election. Even the demands you're going to make now, no matter the Nigerian that will be making that demand, you're surely going to have a political tag because we are dealing with a political situation. Nobody will be able to accept that these are genuine, demands for the president to naturally, put out his records. We have a country that is, highly intellectual. We have a number of people with levels of degrees. This shouldn't be a problem because it has a lot of implications for those who may want to, hang on it to play other kind of metropolitan state affairs, on the sovereignty of the country. But
yeah, so guys, that's all for that video. Yes, let me know what you think about this. Atiku is now asking Tinubu to leave office since he can't provide Nigerians with his academic record. Don't forget that Tinubu's lawyer has asked a higher court to stop the order that was given by a lower court mandating Chicago State University to release Tinubu's academic record. So these are some of the things will be watching out for coming days to see how they will all play out. Tomorrow is the day for the final judgment. The judge is going to rule on whether the Chicago State University will be releasing this document or not. Atiku needs it, in pursuing his appeal at the Supreme Court. Possibly they might want to delay. Atiku might end up not getting it for his appeal, but still the PDP is insisting that even if they don't get it now, they will keep fighting until this record is released. Whenever that is going to be released, it does not bother them. They just want it to be released so that the public is going to see what is contained in it. And Tinubu himself is fighting tooth and nail to ensure that his document or his record is not made public. He has said it's going to damage his reputation, it's going to cause him an irreparable damage. That's the language he used. I mean, his lawyer used. So Nigerians are asking him, what is he hiding? When you assume such an office, you should be willing to open up for people to get to know you and know you better. So guys, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. We are going to be bringing you updates to see how all this play out. And for me, I most welcome this step Atiku is taking, asking him to resign. This is going to send a very strong signal to the Supreme Court judges so that they look critically into this. We don't want them to play the kind of, the kind of game that the tribunal played. I mean, the tribunal judges. So many of the rulings that they gave were based on technicality. We don't want all that. Just work according to the Constitution. Somebody's certificate is not having a very clear foundation. You must ensure that justice is given as we watch to see how the Supreme Court is going to rule. Yes, so guys, I'm going to be ending this live here. Thank you so much for joining. We'll be coming up live again later in the night. We want you all to join us. I appreciate your time and God bless you. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on the notification bell for more uploads and give this video a like, please, so that YouTube can recommend it for others to watch. Thank you so much and God bless you.